here. Derek, I want to go to you. When we talk about this race, people, I've been corresponding with some people in Mississippi, and this is what's amazing me. I've had black folks say, there's just no way he can win. In the general election, only 700,000 people voted for the three candidates on November 6th. We all know that in a runoff, it's typically a lot lower turnout. There are 750,000 Democrats in Mississippi. Black folks, huge percentage. He can actually win if there is a large turnout.
It's a turnout game. This is not about appealing to communities outside of the norm of where he knows the votes will come from. Mississippi, 2.8 million population, average statewide election, we're looking at between 600,000 to 900,000 voter turnout. This midterm election turnout of 700,000, that was a huge increase. The drop-off for the runoff is going to be substantial. If he can get black folks back out, he wins. If he don't, he won't. This is not about appealing to individuals to convince them to vote for him, because racial black voting in Mississippi is perhaps the strongest of any state outside of Alabama. And at the end of the day, the white folks who are going to support him, he got them. He must get black folks back out to the polls.
And DJ, at the end of the day, again, if you're a Republican, she's not a lock. Again, you look at the numbers. Now, granted, you had McDaniel, a Tea Party guy who was running, but he only got 17% of the vote.
That's right.
And so if you look at that total number, barely 700,000 votes, that's, again, what that says is that whichever one of these candidates can generate 500,000 votes, that's likely the winner.
And I think the concern there is that you might even have some Chris McDaniel voters stay home or write him in as well because they're still bitter about losing. So it's all about turnout. You could have a lot of different things impacting it. You're hearing about President Trump may come down there because they're worried about turnout as well. So this thing is far from over.
Greg, what's very interesting is that the Democratic Party, what they are doing, something very similar to what they did in Alabama, and that is keeping a very low profile, okay? Because the strategy is we don't want to basically anger white voters. We don't want to make a big deal out of this. But the reality is that's not what happened in Alabama. Okay, there was huge amounts of attention, and the amount of energy on African Americans, the sisters who were being organized to turn out, played a role. And so I understand that theoretically, but that's not actually what happened in Alabama. There was a whole bunch of noise that led to people really sitting here driving the turnout machine in Alabama. That's how Doug Jones barely won.
Absolutely, and I think that's why Mike Espy opened with his remarks by quoting what happened with Doug Jones. You know, he's trying to thread a needle that's imminently threadable. I agree with President Johnson. If black folk come out, he named her as the fourth factor, but in fact, she's the first factor. Cindy Hyde-Smith with this public lynching thing, and Mississippians know their history. The fact that the governor of Mississippi is related to the guy that killed Emmett Till, black folks are mad as hell in Mississippi. Now, if Tom Perez and them want to shake in their boots, if they want to put any boots on the ground, if they're not going to help Mike Espy, they can still do what they need to do.
Well, they have boots on the ground, but again, this whole idea, Scott, of keeping this low profile, that's not how you get people to turn out. I mean, you got to be in folks' face and pounding and pounding and pounding.
That's true, but the Democrats are worried about that pounding and pounding means that Republicans and white folks will come out just as strong if you start pounding. I'm not endorsing that, but let me give you a little pushback, because I agree with everything, and I think that it is winnable, but that 17% that went for the Tea Party candidate, where do they go? If only half show up, right? He's not getting, Espy's not getting that 8% or 8.5%. That's probably going to go to the incumbent. So how does he combat that in your equation for how he can win?
Very, very, very simple, Derek. Look, you know Mississippi very well. When you look at the numbers, there are counties in Mississippi that are 50 and 60 and 70% black. Yes. He's got to hit 80 to 90% in those counties.
Well, he would get the percentage of those who vote from the black community. The question is, will he have enough black folks to vote?
Right.
And let's not assume.
So it's not 85, 90%. It's how many comprise 85, 90%. Right. And I'm going to break this thing down in a second. We talk about Florida, and I'm going to show you what happens when black folks don't turn out.
And let's be very clear. The Democratic Party is not playing a low profile in Mississippi. There is no infrastructure the Democratic Party has invested in over time.
Because
the disinvestment in the South over the last 20 years has crippled the ability of the national party to play. Politics are bottom up, not top down.
Because they keep saying we can't win.
We can't
win.
Right.
And
let me
you can't win if you never try to win.
This is about consultants. This is about consultants.
White consultants,
who
what you always
drive the conversation to areas and states where they can generate more revenue. In the South, it's a black game. You can't come out of the Southern primary without coming black. Bernie Sanders, South Carolina, he lost. Why? Because he had no relationship with Jim Clyburn and the black community. And when you leave out of the South Carolina primary, you in Super Tuesday black reality. And the Democratic Party in the South is a black reality, and the National Party has disinvested in that reality.
And DJ Republicans have benefited by Democrats not running, and this is what we saw this year. You saw Democrats in North Carolina
run everywhere,
run in every positions. They flipped 10 or 12 seats in North Carolina. They flipped 10 seats in Texas. It's very simple. If you don't run, you ain't got no shot at winning.
That's right. You got to have a ground game. You got to have people running everywhere, and that's what benefits some of the statewide Democrats who ended up winning, like in Nevada, and like elsewhere as well. And I'm telling you, the Chris McDaniel piece is real. His supporters are diehard. It's a cultish following, and they may not come out.
Very similar to Bernie Sanders folks.
If you got black folks who come out, it's going to really change that whole dynamic.
Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.